we will be doing a brief walkthrough of a few new things that we have. Jen will share some customizable awareness building materials about Pressbooks that we want to make available to our community. A couple of very quick reminders about the shared network plugin and the improved LTI plugin that we've released recently. And then the bulk of our time will be a show and tell about the new and improved Pressbooks results. We'll talk about that and then share upcoming events and hopefully have a few minutes for our community roundtable at the end. Feel free to ask questions as we go. Go ahead and add those in the chat, and we'll keep an eye on that so we can make sure that we're addressing questions that may come up.
So one of the things we've been hearing from our community over the last little while is that there is a desire to have some materials to help promote Pressbooks more. So we've created a few different things, and I'll share a link to the landing page where you can download these in the chat. We've created a few materials to help folks do that. And I will say before I kind of go through the materials, we'd love to hear feedback about this. We'd love to hear feedback about how you might want to use things like this, how, other things that could help you in the future. So on the landing page I'll send around, there is a feedback form. We'd love to hear what you think. So one of the first things, we've got a one-pager to build awareness and interest about Pressbooks. It's geared towards faculty and instructors. So it's sort of top level. What is Pressbooks? What are people doing with it? Why should you use it? It is an accessible PDF, and it is also customizable. So there's a section at the bottom where you can put in contact information where you can direct folks to learn more. You can brand it with your logo at the top. So we've got that for download. We also have a deck that you can use to present at various faculty training coming up or faculty showcases. This is a deck that goes a little bit more in depth about what you can do with Pressbooks and how people are using it. That's also customizable. It is a Google slide doc, and if you make a copy of it, you can update it with your branding. And on the landing page, we've also got the Pressbooks logos available for download. So if you want to create your own materials, you can do that as well. We just ask that you take a quick look at the brand guidelines that are there along with the logos. And we also have a sample email with some suggested wording if you wanted help with how to frame this in a bit of a campaign to faculty. I will just pop the landing page where all of this is available in the chat really quickly. You'll see here you can download each of the resources individually, or if you want to put your email in, we can send them to you as well so that they're easy to find in your email in the future. And we can also send folks updates as we continue to iterate on these in the future. If you sign up with your email, we'll make sure you get sent everything as they're created, but don't want to force anyone through that path. So you can just download them directly from there as well. And again, there is a link for feedback. We'd love to hear what you think and how you might want to use materials like this.
Thank you, Jen. Shared networks. So I asked John if you could take a moment and talk about the shared network plugin and what's happening with that right now.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Julie. You've probably heard about our shared network plugin if you've attended any of or watched any of the recordings of our product updates. But we've developed the shared network plugin in partnership with eCampus Ontario. We've released that product now, and I've already started to get it set up on a number of institutions. And with this, the plugin was developed to make it easier to administer a large network or a large shared network across a number of different institutions. So you can add institution managers, so that your books and your user lists are associated with those institutions. And it helps not just the network managers of those shared networks, but also gives those institution managers a level of administrative access to their users and their books. And so it's saving time for everyone and getting a better view or visibility into what's happening at your institution on that network. So if you are interested, if you are one of our shared network partners, please contact your account manager to get whether it's a demo of it or to talk about how to implement it on your network as well. You can reach out to the account managers directly or through our shared inbox at sales@pressbooks.com.
Thank you, John. Okay, another thing that we just want to remind people about is we have refactored our LTI plugin. It now supports dynamic registration. It has a simplified common cartridge import-export. It has support for deep linking. Actually, the grade passback, it's not there yet, but will be within the next couple of weeks. That's something that we are finishing that functionality up now with the release of the new Pressbooks results. But it's the same plugin and settings and so forth that will support all of those things. So this provides a seamless user experience when you or your instructors want to use Pressbooks inside the learning management system. When you get it set up and configured, it will prepare you to be able to use Pressbooks Results, which is the H5P grade passback feature that we will be talking more about in a moment. This is also a much quicker, simpler implementation. It's a fraction of the time that it used to take, and so your LMS administrators will be happy at the ease of that. It is already one Tech certified, and it addresses a number of LTI stability issues that we encountered previously. So if you haven't done this yet and you're interested, we encourage you to update or configure that. If you need help with getting approvals to get that configured or set up, we are happy to support you. So reach out to our premium support team or to your account manager, and we can help you with that. Now our main event is Pressbooks Results. So just a little bit of review to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about. So Pressbooks Results is a solution that we have been working on and improving that provides grade passback for H5P activities embedded in Pressbooks content, and passing the scores from those activities to the Learning Management System gradebook. And so what you can see here, these are places where you have the Pressbooks book content, and then people have, or authors have embedded the interactive learning activities. And so Pressbooks Results, when a student goes through and does the learning activities, then it would send the scores for those corresponding activities to the Learning Management System gradebook. We've done a lot of research and work around this. Last fall, we had a pilot that surfaced a number of technical and usability issues that were significant. And we had to go back to the drawing board and do some rework. We are now in the finishing stages of that. We'll show you what that's looking like right now. So this is a solution that helps you to know, or helps the instructor to know, who's doing the reading or not. It can make the materials more engaging and effective because it gives students a reason to go in and interact with the materials and test their knowledge as they're doing the reading. It can provide guidance for instructors about how students are doing and where to help them intervene more effectively to support learning, and also can provide some visibility into where are folks struggling. We know that embedding this type of activity is, the interaction, asking students to do something, is more effective than just having them read or watch something. And research says that kind of inline activity where you have the testing the knowledge as students are going through the materials is particularly effective. And we also know, kind of more anecdotally, but from instructors who've been using this, that it does create that motivation for students to actually do the reading in a way that where there's no grade passback, there is less motivation. And so as we've gone through the decision about, do we continue investing in this and making it a reality, that's something that we support and are excited about, and that we are encouraging more of our customers to use, we saw a lot of strong validation from customers that, yes, you guys want this, and so we should stay the course. So the improvements in this version of Pressbooks Results, there is more reliability around, the reliability around grade passback accuracy. That was an area where it was generally accurate, but we had some issues, and any issues in grade passback are going to be big problems. And so that's something that was a number one thing to resolve. Also, we have resolved the problems that we had in using when students use the solution with Safari or iOS. So that is no longer a problem. There's more supportability of the LTI integration, the simplification of both setting up the LTI plugin and also what it takes to configure the chapter for grading and make sure that it's ready to use with students. And then also some improvements around transparency so that the scores, so it's easier for it's easier for instructors to know what's going into those student scores that are coming into the chapter score. So that's the background. Now I'm going to turn things over to Michelle. She oversees our usability, user experience design work. So
thank you. So I'm going to give us a quick tour about Pressbooks Results, and just so we can see all of the sort of new things that have come about and what we're planning to start releasing right away. I have a test book and a test network and a test LMS that I'll be leading us through. But so far I'm working in this LTI test book. And so I'm just going to go into a chapter. And the one that I'm going to go to is this Li Xiao. I'm in an M tag. And as you can see in this chapter so far, we have a lot of content and we actually already have some H5P activities in it. So right now you can see when you do have it activated, you have this grade reporting box so you can see what your H5P activities are in the box. It names them and then it also provides a link so you can access those H5P activities just to see what is in that chapter exactly. And then you also have some chapter level settings so you can set the grading scheme here and then you can also get a link, but you don't have to use this link. We also use deep linking, which will come up in the LMS to bring that content in, which I will show you in just a minute. If I go to the book, I'll just open up this chapter so we can see. So there's one of the H5P activities, here's another one. And I'm going to add one more to this book. I left a little space for it. It's the same as it has been. We just add H5P with the H5P button. And we've created this already. So I'm just going to find the one that I want to insert. And it's there. I'll save it. And then we'll see that this gets added to the grading configuration below. So we can see that that shows up now here with vocabulary flashcards. I'm going to make sure I want this to show up in the LMS. So we're basically done setting up the book. And then we're going to go into Canvas, the product update demo course, which is unpublished. I don't have any content in here yet, but I'm just about to. So I'm going to name this demo. And then I'm going to import or at least bring in some content. And this is how we're bringing it in through deep linking. It's an external tool. This is a list of the networks that I have on my computer. Of course, you will probably have much less in yours, just on the basis of working at Pressbooks. And so this basically will, once this populates, you'll see that it loads the whole book content. And I have the opportunity to choose which chapters I want to bring into my LMS. So I'm first going to bring in the first 4. And then there's also a link to bring in the results viewer, which is going to show more detailed responses to the H5P activities. So I'll include that as well. With the deep linking, you do have the option to add different chapters from different books. So there's a lot of flexibility on this side. All right, it's added. I'm going to make sure that this course is published and I'm going to publish all of this content. So basically my book should be good to go now. I'm just going to go take a look and we'll see that, yeah, I have the sort of chapters set up. And then I also, in advance of this meeting, have set up a few of our demo testers. So essentially, once you open up the assignment in the LMS, the student sees this version of the Pressbooks book along with the exercises. And so they would go in and attempt, go through the activities this way. And once the student basically finishes all of the H5P activities, then that would be logged in the gradebook. And so we've got a few activities and all of these activities, once they are attempted, basically get pulled into the gradebook as a sort of like lump total of all of the H5P activities.
Yeah, there's a question. Does this process add anything to the assignments tab in the Canvas course? does it allow for weighting grading, or I guess the contribution of the scores of the Pressbooks results material relative to the rate of the rest of the course? Okay. Yes.
Can you click those little hamburger menus at the top, on the top left, and click the assignments view rather than the modules view? This was BH's question. So in assignments, these 4 activities were configured as gradable assignments. And I think BH was asking, do they show up as gradable assignments here? And can you change the configuration? Could you change that so that it was worth less than 100 points, or put it in an assignment?
Yes,
Those kinds of
of
things.
course. So yes, when you go into one of these, you have the option to edit your assignment settings. And within this, this is where your sort of configuration options are. So you can change the point value that you want. You can also change many things, such as how that gets displayed, changing the sort of submission attempts. This is the other place that you can go to do any of that sort of configuration. Is that helpful?
I hope so. That I think was what they're asking, and that was exactly what I was expecting to see.
Great.
When you launch an assignment, there was a question from Janae. I believe you have the option in the top right to view as student. Can you be a student and see if you can see I think they want to see a student view. I think, Michelle, if you actually do the activities, you'll see the show up in the gradebook with the test student at this point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Well, then I will do that in that case. Thank you.
There's a question about integrating with Blackboard, and yes, so we're showing Canvas, but we're building and testing for this to work in Canvas, Brightspace, Blackboard, and Moodle. And we confirmed it works with Moodle 4. And so we think that should cover off on most, well, that our customer base, those are the ones everybody asks for. So yes. And those assignment settings, that would be subject to the assignment settings interface in your learning management system. And so it will behave, the assignment settings that Michelle just showed are the standard assignment settings in Canvas. So it would do that same thing, the corresponding assignment settings that you have in your learning management system.
So I have gone back to the gradebook after attempting those, and you can see that I received a score of 38.89 as the test student. And then if I went back, I could go through it again and then see how that gets updated. The other thing that I also wanted to show, with that link that we had added in the modules along with the activities, we have the Pressbooks Results Viewer, which is something that we're working on currently. So you'll see that this data is, it's a bit dummy data. So we saw that in the grade book overall, you can see the overall grade of all of those, but we're looking to actually separate each of the H5P activities in a given assignment so that you can actually see what the student got on each of those. And so you have the option to sort of view by assignments, and then you are able to see a more granular view of exactly how the students are working on those individual H5P activities. So this is something we're currently working on, but this is basically where it would show up, specifically in Canvas, but we're working on making that for all of the LMSs.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, so the score in the gradebook is going to be a roll-up of whatever all of the scores from the different H5P assignments in that particular chapter. And so you can have all of those, or you can choose which of those are part of that roll-up. And then the chapter results viewer lets you go in and see what the individual scores are that contributed to that whole roll-up. But as a plug for instructors and users, having people use this and tell us this is what's great, this is what's a problem, this is what else we need. We welcome and need that input so that we are prioritizing the additional improvements that matter to you. And so whether you participate as an instructor or have instructors using it with students, or whether you are raising your hand to say, I'll be part of the user research and user testing to provide input that way, we invite you to participate or to consider inviting your instructors to participate so we can make sure that what we're building is something that meets your needs. Bill.
Yeah, thanks. Could you just sort of, just in a couple of steps, describe what the workflow for a student would be? Like, how do you imagine them, consuming the Pressbooks content, participating in the H5P exercise, and then maybe, at some point, does the faculty person have notification in SpeedGrader or something that the student is done? I'm just wondering kind of what the steps for the student are.
So Michelle, do you want to show that one more time or kind of walk through that view?
Sure thing.
Yes. Sorry if you covered that. Maybe I got a little lost there, but yeah.
Yeah, so the student view, essentially they also see a version of the same modules, but they have the opportunity to sort of open that up.
And this is where, as the instructor, you would set a due date. For example, if you want the students to do this module by a certain date, that's one of the settings that you would add in. So the student would know, this is my assignment that's due by this date.
Mm-hmm. And so this is the one that I had just attempted as a test student. So you can see that the grade that I had already submitted is in there. But essentially they would go through the Pressbooks chapter or assignment, and then they would be completing the exercises here. And they would be going through essentially each assignment. And then you would be able, as a student, to see your grades populated in your own personal grade book. Is that helpful?
Yeah, very. I think the part that wasn't clear to me is that they are going to see the Pressbooks chapter displayed in the Canvas page. And because I'm not familiar with the Pressbook, I wasn't catching what the difference between the chapter and the exercise was, but I see it now. Thank you.
Great.
There were a lot more questions in the chat. You mind if I read them out, maybe, Michelle?
Yep. Please do, Steele.
There was a question about, does this work with a Pressbook shared? Can I complete the LTI configuration in the same way if we have multiple LMSs that want to connect to a Pressbook shared network? The answer to that is yes. It's exactly the same process. You'll need to make a connection for every LMS that you want to use to your Pressbooks network, but the process is exactly the same, no matter whether it's one LMS or 20. Just have to do it for each LMS you want to connect. There was another question that was, our college uses Elentra as its LMS. Is that an option? And my answer was, I don't know. Do they support LTI? And the answer was, they don't know. I did a quick search. It looks like they do support LTI. The devil will be in the details. We'll have to try the configuration and then see whether it works. In our experience, each LMS tends to support LTI in slightly idiosyncratic ways. I really hope that it works out of the box, but we won't know until we try. And then there was a question about, did the book chapters come into Canvas as pages? Wade, could you elaborate on what you meant by that question?
Yeah, it just looked, I thought I saw before you imported the H5P content, I thought I saw like the book had 4 chapters, and then it looked like, to me, it looked like we were only looking at one of the H5Ps, but I thought I saw 4 pages listed in the Canvas interface.
Michelle might need to share her screen for this, but I think we could probably clarify that one. Do you understand that question, Michelle? So if you go back, if Michelle goes back to modules, so this is where she did the import from.
Mm-hmm.
These are all of the individual deep links that she imported. If they were configured for grading, they'll show up as assignments. If they're not configured for grading, they'll just be regular deep links to the live content, but it won't have a gradebook item attached to it.
All right, thanks.
Individual chapter has its own individual link. There was a question about, are these static files or is this the live version of the content that's being imported? The answer to that is, this deep link will always load the current live version of that chapter. You'll never have to re-import it. It will always be the live version. So if the instructor edited and made a change to the chapter and corrected a typo, The next time the student launches it, they'll see the corrected version without having to re-import. Lorraine, you got your hand up. Was that your question?
Yes, that was. And then I have another question, if that's okay. I'm wondering about the titles. So it looks like those are the chapter titles that are appearing there when you import with deep linking. Do we ever see the H5P activity titles within the Canvas course?
Great question. Michelle can answer that if she shows the demo of the chapter results viewer again.
The overall name of the assignment will appear here, and it will show you the sort of lump sum, and then each H5P activity will be shown here in this chart.
Okay. All right. Great to know. Thank you.
There was another question. Andy asked, to be clear, the assignment will go to the gradebook no matter if completed in Canvas or outside of Canvas, as long as it's been set up in each chapter in the Pressbook settings, correct? And my answer to that was, no, the only time we send grades is when it's launched from the LMS. If you just went to the public webbook of this and completed the activities, you're not logged in. We don't know who you are. We don't know that you came from a course. We're not going to be tracking you and keeping track of your activities. Only gradebook attempts come when launched from a course that's been configured for grading. So Andy said, if I only give them access to the book via the Canvas links or my D2 or LMS links, should that be fine? And the answer to that is yes, totally. If that's the only way they access your book and launch it from the LMS, their grades will always be sent back. I hope that clarified rather than confused. Linda's got a hand up too.
Yeah, just a quick question. So if an instructor has a course that includes some of these activities as graded activities, but they also have some other kinds of assignments that are not integrated into the Pressbook, are those integrated together in the gradebook? So if they have, they have to write an essay.
Yes, great
Okay.
question. So in the LMS, you can create assignments of many different kinds. You could have an assignment that's turned in manually. You could have a quiz. You could have other external tools. They'll all show up in the same gradebook. Pressbooks activities will just be one of many, and they'll all be in the same gradebook, which I think was the question that BH was asking. Could I organize those into different groupings and give them different weights? 100%. You can use it. These assignments are just one of many potential assignments in your LMS gradebook, and you can set up your gradebook as an instructor however you like with these activities as basically siblings of any other graded activities you created.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So just to piggyback on that, I'm trying to get my head around this. I learned how to teach in a traditional sort of a setting. And so let's say we're doing a unit in our class. And for homework tonight, you need to read chapter 4 and complete the activities at the end of the chapter. And then the students come in the next day, we discuss or do whatever. And then that night's homework is to read chapter 5 and do whatever. And so to make that, how does that look in this new setting? It would be when I build a course, the module in Blackboard is the unit, and I would pull in chapter 4 and I would pull in chapter 5 for that module, rather than just pulling in the whole book at once and kind of throwing it in my course with a link that says textbook.
Yeah, so for example, Michelle here, if she pushed the plus module button, let's say we make unit 4, for example. If anatomy of skin was supposed to be done in unit 4, you can click those in Canvas, you can just drag it down by clicking the little. So the link already brought in, you can just put it in whatever unit you want it to go in. Sorry.
So it can be built intentionally to follow your course outline units and whatnot, but it also can be kind of wiggled after. Once the links are all in, you can move them from one place to another. Like you decide maybe your students aren't quite ready for that one yet, so you could pull it down to a different module. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That helps.
So you can make updates to the content in Pressbooks and it'll automatically like pull over to Canvas. Can you add any H5P exercises after you import it, or can you modify those?
That's a good question. Do the H5P activities need to be in place?
No, though once students have started taking it, you really shouldn't be adding and editing your activities, because the grades will get all messed up if you do that, because student A did it when there was only 2 activities, student 3 did it when there was 3. But certainly you can bring the chapter in, add the H5P and other kinds of things. Just ensure that you have it configured for grading correctly before your students start taking it. That's the key.
Good, good. I mean, I think it's a bad idea, but I just want to know if it's possible. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Michelle, for the show and tell. We talked about this in May, but just want to note the pricing and delivery model shift. We are moving away from per student pricing, and now we will be delivering this as a standard platform feature. We are adjusting making adjustments to our baseline platform fees to cover the additional cost of supporting and maintaining this, which we will incur. And so there is a new pricing structure. The new pricing, though, the adjustment will not take effect before we finish our pilot window. And so this is sort of, and we did send a message out to all network managers this past week with some explanation of this, but just want to clarify that there will be an adjustment to our baseline platform fees to be able to include this as a standard included feature. And it's tiered based on usage. These adjustments will not take effect before January 2025. So we're going to prove out that this is a robust and ready for prime time feature. And then at that point, we will, with due notification, be making that platform pricing adjustment. So there is a little more detail here. You can talk to your account managers about that. I can stay on a little bit longer if there are questions. Happy to discuss that. The new Pressbooks results will be available the week of August 12th. And over the next week, I think for folks that are saying, yes, I'm in, we will be getting communication out to get training sessions scheduled so folks can pick a training time to help you get everything configured and set up and ready to go. We have had a couple questions about D2L buying H5P and whether there's an impact here. The short answer is there is no immediate impact. There is some uncertainty, but there is not really any more uncertainty now than there was before D2L purchased H5P. They have said in their public statements they intend for H5P to continue to be open source and developed, and we use the open source version of H5P. So we do not expect that is any undue risk. There is a link to a helpful article for anybody that wants to do some additional reading. So I'm going to quickly jump ahead. If you want to get a copy of today's slides, we can certainly send those out with a recording. And I skipped over the reminder about we have our monthly, here, I'll just jump back to that. Our Getting Started with Pressbooks and Advanced Pressbooks Publishing webinars coming up in August. Those are open to anyone, including all of your end users. So feel free to make those available or make sure people know they're invited. You can access the registrations on our website in the events area, or you can grab the links here as well. With that, I'm going to, we're at time. And so I want to release anybody that needs to go, and anybody that wants to stay on and ask additional questions. I think some of the team is available to stay on, so we can entertain more questions if you have them.
Thanks. I have two questions. One is, if I don't have any instructors participating in the pilot, can I still go in and play with it?
Yes, absolutely. So we will have a demo course available so that for folks that are not using it with students yet, but want to play around with it, there will be a demo course. And actually, if you also want to get it set up and do your own test course to play around with it in your system, we would happily support you with that as well.
Okay, great.
So we do have, there is actually, Steele, could you put in the link to the Tell Us You're Interested form?
Just did it. Yeah,
perfect.
That's there in the chat. Please, if you or anybody else wants to get updates about this or be involved in the pilot anyway, just fill out that form. It'll take you a minute or two, and then we'll make sure we keep you in the loop.
Great, thank you. The other question I have is that I'm a little confused by the pricing information. It's the number of enrollments in courses that are using the Passback. And how do you know that?
Okay, hold on. Let me put the pricing slide back up there and then I can speak to that a little bit better. So the adjustment across the board is a 6% increase in our baseline platform fees, and that covers up to 1,000 enrollments per year of individuals that are using Grade Passback. That can be across any number of courses. And one of the things that we do not have right now, but intend to build in is, I say do not have because I believe it's not there, but to have visibility for network managers to be able to see what is the usage level of Pressbooks results so that you have eyes on that. For those institutions that see a larger usage, so 1,001 to 5,000 enrollments per year using Grade Passback, the baseline platform fee adjustment would be 10% at that point, and as you hit over 5,000, the baseline platform fee would be a 15% increase. So again, there will be visibility so that you'll be able to see, and by enrollments, we mean, so if it's a student is in 3 different classes that are using H5P in a given term, that would count as 3 different enrollments. So it's the students using H5P in a course, and so it would count multiple times if they're in multiple courses using.
And you all can see that in those enrollment numbers on your end.
Yes, and that's part of what we are. We recognize that with this approach, it's important to make sure that there's visibility for you as well. Our intention also is to make sure that as we are approaching renewal dates and having those conversations, you have that visibility and we have that visibility too, so that if you want to make adjustments, it gives you something to plan for. And we want to make sure that this is something where there's good visibility and also good value. So if you are using this widely, obviously there's a higher support burden, and so that's why we have that incremental increase where we see the broad usage, where we will see the broad usage.
And what happens in the second contract renewal? Is there another 15% increase?
So our intention, so our pricing structure as we go forward there, we will have, here is the baseline platform fee. And so we're not going to be doing like 15% on top of the 15%. It would be, here is the baseline. And this year you had 1,000 enrollments, so that's covered in the 6%, no adjustment. The next year we see that you cross the line up to 2,500 enrollments, and so that means that above that baseline it would be a 10% adjustment, not a 6% adjustment. So our intention is to have a lot of transparency about that.
So then it would go up 4%. 6% the year before, and
yes, over what was there before. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for
no, that's okay. These are good questions to ask. Jamie.
My question's also one of my questions is about the fee as well, because we're a shared network, as you know, and I'm just confused by that. After the free fall pilot, institution premium buy-in is required to use Pressbooks. So we're already a buy-in, so that's good. Upper tier usage adjustments apply only to buy-in fees, and I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yep. No, glad that you asked. Good to know when our language is or isn't clear. So the 6% fee increase is something that will apply both to the shared network fee as well as the buy-in fee. But for an individual buy-in, so let's say your institution has 2,000 enrollments. The 10% adjustment is only to the buy-in fee. We're not going to also increase the shared network. There's the base fee of the shared network.
Right. Okay.
And so that only applies the 6%. After that, it's just the individual institutions that are seeing the higher usage would have a 10% increase or a 15% increase in the buy-in fee. And the buy-in fees are negotiated as part of those shared network contracts. And so as we go forward, presumably we will have this written into, as an addendum as we go forward.
Gotcha. Okay. So just a follow-up to clarify then, we, I think, paid our invoice in April or May. So for us at TCC, we can basically expect under 1,000 enrollments using it, we could expect to see a 6% fee increase, sorry, or a 10% depending on where we fall. But that would be next April, May when we are re-invoiced.
Right.
But the OSHRI, or OCO, or the Oklahoma Consortium, won't see an increase at all because of this.
So they will see upon their next renewal, we will be adjusting their fee
Okay.
at 6% as
Okay,
well.
I see.
But it will not, but not above that.
That's
So,
where that upper tier usage came in. Okay,
Yep.
that makes sense. And then my next question, and I know you guys probably have a good answer to this, but I know that my higher ups are going to ask. When you guys say that you're seeing, Steele had said if they don't come into the book and the H5P activity from the LMS, he said we won't know who they are, and my people are going to ask about FERPA and the privacy of the students' grades. And so how do I answer that?
All of the grades, all of that stuff happens in the learning management system.
Okay.
And so the visibility for all of that would be governed by the same the same measures that any other tool or the learning management system itself is operating with.
Okay.
There are limitations in what's visible because the learning management system will only show the student the stuff that is identified with that student. And so that's how we're designing and building, and then it's governed by the learning management system knowing who that student is, because that's how they're accessing the tools, the materials.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you.
Does anyone on the tech team want to jump in and augment that response at all? Christopher.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And yes, we are definitely very hyper aware, and we'll be testing for FERPA compliance. The other thing, also the reason why we cannot have, so if you just land in Pressbooks, and the reason why we cannot see you and send grades back to the LMS is the LMS sends a unique identifier that's obfuscated. So we don't know really who they are on the LMS. So that data is not shared.
There was a question in the chat from Lauren. Those of us participating in the pilot, will we have a group meeting with all pilot participants?
Yes, we will be doing kickoff training sessions. Those will begin the week of the 12th. I think the 14th will probably be the first of those. We are getting those set, and what we anticipate is we will have several options, and then you can choose from those options. We know that not everybody is on contract the week of the 12th, for example, and so there will be options from the 14th, probably through the end of August. We'll have one or a couple per week. Again, we're still getting people saying, yes, I'm in, and so as we understand what the start dates are and the participation levels, we will get that schedule settled. And then thereafter, we are planning to have a monthly check-in call for the pilot folks. That's kind of a community of practice opportunity to kind of share notes. One of the other things that we are excited about is our tech team. So they work in 2-week sprints as producing the new work. And our intention is to also invite users to see and share feedback on the new work as it is getting shared and reported, and being able to have users come in to. So today we had Mitch who was on deck to be our guinea pig user. Our intention is to invite instructor users to come in and be those guinea pig testers in some of those sprint reviews as well. So as we get that schedule set, we will share that and then invite our pilot participants to come and participate in whichever of those work best.
I guess I'll just ask quickly about the interest form. Is that instructors individually filling that out, or would that be me filling that out and saying, I think we've got some people interested. I don't know that they're ready yet. I mean, do you guys want to know that or not?
Yes. So either or. So once you have an instructor who knows that they want to participate, it would be helpful for them to fill that out individually. If you know that you have someone who maybe, we'd love to hear from you, and you can kind of share that information so that we can be following up with you and making sure that we're on the same page in terms of what to plan for.
Thanks.
All right. That's all of the information that we wanted to share